Hi guys, my name's Nick Broughton and I'm a Randomfish. Hit that subscribe button and let's all be Randomfishes together, shall we? So, I talked about a movie on Wednesday, I talked about Babe, and I wanted to do something different for my second video of the week. Just primarily because if I didn't, I think I'm just repeating myself a lot just by watching movies all the time. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I decided to do a top 5 list. If you follow me on Facebook or you're friends with me on Facebook in any way, shape or form, I have done some top 5s of my own. You know, I've done top 5 Nirvana songs, top 5, I think it was like track 1s on albums, top 5 pieces of music in a soundtrack of a film or musical. Which, you know, or I say musical, film versions of things like that, you know. But I wanted to do one live on camera today because, quite frankly, I think it's a good idea. So, this is in no discernible order whatsoever. These are just the way that I've grabbed them. It's the way they're currently sitting on my bed right now. I want to talk about my top 5 favourite comics. Now, comics, if you didn't know this about me, kind of sad, but okay. Comics are a big part of my life. I wasn't into them as a child because I was watching the shows, the animated shows of these things. Such as the animated 94 Spider-Man series, the Batman series occasionally, and more Batman Beyond, really, than the original Batman show anyway. And, of course, I would regularly engage in watching Power Rangers. Now, comics, like I said, I got into a little bit later on in life, but I read more Spider-Man comics than I think I read anything else. But as my tastes have evolved, I have gone beyond that. I have read Batman comics, I have read other Marvel comic book characters, I've even branched out into different companies. And this is all mostly thanks to the people that are in my life, because everyone else who's in my life who I really look up to are also comic book fans and superhero fans, etc, etc. So, without further ado, I want to jump in. This is number 5. And like I said, this is no real discernible order, it's just, like I said, the way I'm grabbing them. But number 5, we have Stormbreaker, the Saga of Beta Ray Bill. This, if you don't know, is a multiple issue miniseries that was incredibly amazing. There's 6 comics all here in this miniseries. I don't have a trade paperback. I have literally picked up these because I found them in my local comic book shop, Paradox. Plug in that, obviously. If you do have a local comic book shop, I do advise you to go down there and spend money there, because then you're giving to this great industry and allowing these types of things to keep on being printed. If not that, then go to Comixology, where I believe you can buy copies of these things. I personally don't use it because I like to have original copies. I don't like having digital copies, but that's me thing. You know, other people might like that. So let's go from that. But Stormbreaker, for those of you who don't know, Beta Ray Bill is one of the only other characters in the Marvel comic book universe that could also lift Mjolnir. Now, of course, as we all know from the MCU, there are other characters that can lift Mjolnir without much of a problem. But in the comics, Beta Ray Bill was massive because he was one of the first characters outside of an already pretty powerful, pretty OP character to lift Mjolnir and fight with it. He originally picked up Mjolnir, and Thor, at that time, reverted back to his more human form, less of a god form, basically. And so he and Beta Ray Bill fought over it, and eventually Thor gets Mjolnir back, and Odin and the rest of his lot craft a new hammer for Beta Ray Bill, giving him Thor's sort of style of armor, and giving him his own hammer, of course, called Stormbreaker. Now, this series is based around the idea of Ragnarok. Ragnarok being the end of Norse mythology, if you will. It's their version of the apocalypse. And we get a version where we see Beta Ray Bill, who wants to fight in Ragnarok, but is sent away by Thor because Thor does not want him to die alongside the Asgardians, given that he's not technically an Asgardian, so why should he have to die for their fight? So he sends him away basically to give him the chance to live. And Beta Ray Bill ends up running into other characters from his past, such as the version of him. He was originally made into the protector of his people, the Corbinites, through enhancement, and there was one who came in before him called Alpha Ray, I believe. And unfortunately there is a fight between the two of them in, I believe it's in issue 2 or maybe issue 3. We also get to meet one of Galactus's heralds, which is very cool. And we also then get to see a version of Beta Ray Bill where he is transferred into the body of a human and he has to do what Thor used to do, which is smack his stick down on the ground to transform into Beta Ray Bill. Now, currently in comics, I believe Beta Ray Bill is out amongst the stars fighting with basically the cosmic version of the Avengers, which is very cool. But at the moment, like I said, I really more follow this kind of thing just because I love this story. I think Beta Ray Bill is a great character. It really annoys me that he's not in the MCU, but we take what we can get. He's in the animated shows pretty a lot. He's in a few animated films, which I love. And frankly, him in comics, that's fine. Coming in at number 4, from the creators of Invader Zim, we have this. To give it its proper title, New and Improved Squee! This was recommended to me by my brother, interestingly enough. And if you look at the artwork, it's all very black and white based, and it's all very interesting and unique. And like I said, very Invader Zim. It is very Invader Zim. If you look at the back, you can almost see the designs for the big and tall, the tallest, if you will, which I have to say is very cool. And also, actually, if you look at this guy right here, I also like this is the step they took to making Gur, or at least at least what they did after making Gur, maybe, which I love. This comic book it's dark, it's weird, it's funny, it's quirky, it's everything a Randomfish really wants to have in a comic. Again, I really cannot thank my brother enough for introducing me into this, because I love it. Its actual title, the actual title of the book, on the inside right here, is Squee's Wonderful Big Giant Book of Unspeakable Horrors. Good lord. There's not really a plot really to speak of. I think, if there is, it's very bizarre. I feel like this whole thing is just a collection of random moments. It's like a gigantic episode of the Beano if it was, it's Halloween edition and they were really asked to let go of reality. But you know what? If you can find a copy of this, check it out. It's fun as all hell, and I heartily recommend this. So, you know what? Check it out. Check out Squee. At some other point. Coming in at number 3. General Grievous. Yes, I have a lot of the miniseries here in packaging. Yes, I haven't individually packaged them. Yes, I probably am a savage. No, it doesn't bother me. This is primarily because I don't really collect the comics to collect them. I collect them to sort of read them. I'm not as obsessed with keeping them in mint condition, I think, as maybe other people could be. I should be, probably, but I don't really care. This was made at a time before Disney's retcon of these things. It is also based off of, not of the Clone Wars 2008 show, but the 2003 Clone Wars show, which I maintain is the better one. I obviously I understand that the 2008 Clone Wars series has had a lot of impact and it is very well done, and I do very much concede that in the later seasons they have things in there that I really do enjoy. But in this comic book, the General Grievous in this version of Clone Wars is infinitely better than the Grievous we get in the 2008 version. I'm sorry, he just is. In this one, we get a bunch of Jedi trying to hunt down and destroy Grievous, and Grievous basically kicking their asses and taking their lightsabers and everything else. And this is at a point in the war when Grievous is first sort of really showing up, and he is he is a volatile enemy, he is a very angry enemy, he is just pure anger and rage all the time, and it's so bad. And oh my god, this is so good. If you ever get a chance to find this in your local comic book shop, or find a copy of it on eBay somewhere, please get it. It is so worth it. Just purely from this, I want to just show you, if I can just find it. Here we go. This is the panel. This is the panel I want to show. This is a purely awesome Grievous. He doesn't even need the 4 arms. He's not even trying. He's still got the massive cape on. He's not constantly just taking off the cape. He's just pointing the lightsaber and he's going, just kill them all. And it's fun to see. It really is. A lot of interest. Very intriguing as a story, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Again, heartily recommend. Check out General Grievous. Coming in at number 2. So I'm shooting through this, aren't I? What's coming up on number 2 is kind of interesting. This one was made. This is a 3-part series that I have to admit I'm kind of confused by trying to talk about it is very interesting to me. Now, I don't know if this is sold anywhere else. It may not be. But when I was in Paradox some time ago, I picked up a copy of a new type of superhero. A superhero that wasn't particularly seen all that much, or not one that is ultimately sort of seen even now. And that is called the Gecko. Now, I've talked about it on my Instagram feed before, but you know what? I want to talk about this right here and now. The Gecko is essentially about a kid who is experimented on by a mad scientist who ends up... this guy who ends up being experimented on by a mad scientist who ends up with all of these powers, and he gets a new suit and he gets everything else and blah, blah, blah. And you know what, I'm just going to show you this right now. We have what's called the DNA Matrix Analyzer. This is what happens to him after he gets messed around with by the scientist. I just want to read you a few things here. 16% lizard gene, 84% Homo sapien. So essentially saying that he's not half man, half lizard, because, I mean, technically speaking, that would be completely flying in the face of Dr. Kirk Connors, who I'm pretty sure would be pretty annoyed by that concept, as would Marvel Comics in general. But at the same time, it shows that he has control over it, that it is just an enhancement, it's not a full-blown attempt to take over kind of mentality. This isn't the whole lizard should rule instead of humans kind of mentality. What we have here is increased hand-eye coordination, enhanced optical abilities, i.e. better sight, augmented muscle growth, i.e. getting stronger, increased muscle storage, okie dokie, physical strength parameters altered, i.e. like I said, getting stronger, prehensile tail, external heat and conductor and balance, i.e. the tail helps him stay upright, much like a lot of lizards do, an augmented thigh and leg muscular structure, i.e. you know, better at running. And just all in all, just an increase in ability and an increase in everything else. I mean, this whole thing is just, it's maddening. I mean, this is insane. This was made with the help of the Paradox Comics people. If you look at the back page right here, it shows that, and it shows there's an advert for Paradox Comics in here. It thanks the people at Paradox and everything else for it. And honestly, I like talking about this comic because it's so interesting to see, because this is clearly a dream, a passion project that was done so well. And the reason it's on my list is because, yes, it's a passion project, but sometimes these passion projects, they work, and this really does work. And it's a shame that the Gecko never got any more outings. It really is. There's only 3 issues of it. 3 issues of this, and it bugs me. And it bugs me because I know that these things are difficult to do, but at the same time, I love this whole idea. I love this whole concept. And just to give you one final rundown before I put this comic book down, we have here the full cast, reading here from the bios. Danny Carter, aka the Gecko. Danny is a fun-loving 14-year-old who accepts the responsibility of becoming the Gecko readily. Even though it's an act of evil that created him, he still treats it as a chance to do some good. He has enhanced reflexes and senses, augmented strength, and a cool swirling tail. Danny has a constant drive, energy, and enthusiasm. We have Hoagie Hogarth, or Tom. He's the Gecko's sidekick. He's a young technological wizard. He's responsible for designing and building the Gecko's helmet, featuring live video feed, flashlight, rear view camera, and solar panel power. Hoagie is a dedicated friend, content to sit at home and monitor Danny's activities or search the internet for information. I'm sure he's only searching the internet for information, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more, say no more. We have Danny's police officer dad, who is Sergeant Patrick Carter. We have the Dr. Nagoa, who is the geneticist who created the Gecko. He infused Danny with DNA of a Gecko. And he's also responsible for creating the next guy on this planet, Iguana Guy. Yes, Iguana Guy. He has an incorrect balance of reptile DNA, causing his more feral lizard side to be in charge. Basically, that's why Danny only has 14% or 16% of lizard DNA in him, while the 84% is human. Because any more than that, and I'm fairly sure you get Iguana Guy. Or to give you a slightly more updated version of his look, let's see if I can't find it here. Ah, dang it. It's around here somewhere. Here we go. That's what Iguana Guy looks like. Right there. I mean, come on. I wouldn't want that sort of thing running around for me after time. I really wouldn't. It's scary, is what it is. It's just scary. But anyway, that's the Gecko. Now, I don't know, I doubt you can ever get a hold of this copy, but you know what? When this quarantine is over and everything's back to being open again, and Paradox Comics is more open, I don't know if they still are. If they are, please let me know. But you know what? Those of you who don't have copies, who live in Poole, go down Paradox and see if you can find them. Because this is amazing stuff. And honestly, I think you should support the guys that made this. Honestly, I would love to see them create more. I would love to help them create more. So guys, if you ever find a chance of listening, if you ever find a chance to talk about it, please let me know, because that is amazing stuff. Finally, at number 1, we have my favourite character from DC. I have always been a Marvel over DC guy. This is primarily because I preferred Spider-Man to just about every other character. And so he kind of trumped even Batman for me. But you know what? I don't have a Spider-Man comic that I want to share with you today. I want to share Better Ray Bill because he's a various unknown. But you know what? I want to end tonight with... I want to end this video with a reference to a Batman comic that is sometimes referenced, but not always referenced. Battle for the Cowl. This comic... Holy hell. This was brought out sometime after Bruce Wayne and Batman is supposedly killed by Darkseid's Omega Beams, when in actuality what happened was he was sent back in time. Now, the unfortunate thing is that while that was happening, everyone thought he was dead. And so Gotham went into chaos, where the small-time criminals thought they could do the big things, and the big-time criminals thought they could just take over. Now, through this time, Nightwing, as shown here on the front, has brought together an army of his various friends, fighting compatriots and other such characters to help control the chaos in Gotham, all the while staring at the bat suit and wondering what the hell happened to Bruce. Now, we get in this, obviously, as we see on the front here, we have Nightwing, we have Damian Wayne being shown there, Batwoman, Catwoman, Huntress, the Black Canary, the Wildcat, I believe, and even on the front part of this right here, we get the Tim Drake Robin. Now, in this story, we then get the revelation that Jason Todd is back in Gotham and he's dressed up as a version of Batman who doesn't mind using guns. And you know what? I can do you one better and I can show you this. I can show you this version of him because, frankly, this version of Batman is fun as all hell. He really is. And I'm just gonna go right... Here we go. That's cool. We like this. We like this version of Batman. This really does show the knight in Dark Knight. It really does. And that's, of course, Jason Todd underneath that. Spoilers if you didn't know that. You know, just in case. Although, if you didn't and you're watching this video and you saw me bring this up and you hadn't read it, I would assume you'd pause, quite frankly speaking. But Jason Todd comes back, he's dressed up as Batman, he's more comfortable with using guns. But we then get the conversation between the two remaining Robins. We get between Dick Grayson and Tim Drake, where Tim says, one of us has to take over, one of us has to be Batman. Alfred even points this out at an earlier point of the story where he says, you know, Bruce Wayne can die, Batman can't die. Like, Gotham needs Batman to stay alive so that it can stay alive. Now, Dick, of course, doesn't want to take over as Batman because Bruce made him promise a while ago to never take over, to never become Batman, because being Nightwing should be enough to protect Gotham. But Tim Drake, of course, disagrees with this, as does Alfred, as does Jason, really. And so, when the Jason Todd Batman starts showing up and starts shooting people down with his cross-armed guns, because apparently that's cool now, apart from holding them sideways, because you go gangster. But Tim Drake dresses up in one of the Batman suits, except in this version, we see a version of Batman that's dressed up as where he becomes what I like to refer to as the Batman with the yellow symbol. He is the yellow Batman, if you will. He isn't just another random Batman. He has more of the, I would say, before Crisis, I guess, kind of Batman look. Or possibly just referred to as the animated series Batman look, frankly speaking. But by the end of it, of course, Tim Drake Batman unfortunately doesn't die, but he falls to Jason Todd as Robin. And then there's a massive battle between the characters of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. Dick Grayson and Jason Todd having a little moment there across two panels, which is very, very cool to see. And eventually we then get an image that I love that they put at the beginning of the comic. Completely spoils it in my opinion, but who the hell cares? We get this. Dick Grayson becomes Batman. Now obviously this is temporary, because when he does that he only becomes Batman until Bruce Wayne returns, and we then get the introduction of Batman Incorporated, and then we got the New 52, which I have issues with, but that's more me than anybody else at this point in the damn game. I still like the animated films, but I'll be honest, the New 52 comic book series kind of annoyed me in a few ways, I guess. But anyway, we then get, of course, we also then get the emergence of Damian Wayne as Robin, where he actually becomes Robin, finally. Full-time anyway, and he becomes, because Dick Grayson takes over as Batman, Damian Wayne becomes Robin, which then led into the brand new Batman and Robin series, which got launched not that long after this happened, which is lovely. And we actually got a nice little contrast where we had a slightly more jokey, jovial Batman with a much more serious, much more destructive Robin. And we also had a final switch around of the last names. Grayson was finally Batman, while Wayne was finally Robin. Very cool, very unique, very interesting. So, with that all being said, those are my top 5. Now, I could have done a top 10, but I really didn't have time to go into any of it. These comics are my top 5 at the moment. I love Battle of the Cowl for multiple reasons. Spider-Man is still one of my all-time favourite characters of all time. I'd like to make that, stress that point, even though I'm wearing a Deadpool t-shirt, you know. But I'll be honest, I couldn't think of what Spider-Man story to really show you guys, since there are so many of them that I love, and frankly, always will. So with that being said, check them all out. Batman Battle of the Cowl, the Spectacular Gecko, the Book of Squee, Stormbreaker, The Legend of Beta Ray Bill, and of course General Grievous. So whatever you do out there, find a comic book shop, buy stuff from comic book shops, because these guys need that income. You know, the comic book people in this world, you know, keep this industry alive. Let's keep this industry going forward. You know what, go to Comixology if you can, if you want to. Go to your comic book shop if you're able to, once this quarantine is lifted and once they're able to be reopened again. And above all else, have fun, my random fishes. Random fish out.